What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
I'm Jason.
and you're listening to a very warm episode of Liquid Kernedge for one of us.
For both of us. It was
both of
108
us.
today, buddy.
108 for you. My AC unit went out over the weekend, so I've had to spend the day at home while they fix it, and they're in the final stages of it right now, getting everything replaced. $2,300 later, which is actually cheap for what they did. My house is sitting at 90 plus degrees, so I am very fortunate to be waiting for this thing to cool down ASAP.
Oh my G, dude, that is awful. Oh, God, 90 degrees. That's horrible.
Oh yeah, it's been a very expensive week for me here between that and no one ever plans on something breaking in your house. I can tell you that much.
Well, and that's the funny part because everyone says, "Oh, you're throwing your money away if you rent. You're throwing your money away if you rent." Well, yeah, until something like this happens and you got to pay thousands of dollars to get that fixed or get the roof fixed or buy a new appliance. I mean, Noreen started renting her house and we thought, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to get some income coming in on the house and it's going to make her mortgage payment. Within the first 2 months, the air conditioning went out and the dryer or the washer went out. Yeah. So she spent thousands of dollars. It's a racket, man. It's a racket.
It's a racket. It's a pyramid scheme. No, it's
totally a pyramid scheme.
Pyramid scheme. No, but you're absolutely right, man. There comes responsibility and a maintenance with owning a home, and I had grown up with swamp coolers, so fixing a swamp cooler is pennies on the dollar versus fixing an actual cooling unit that we have now. For those that don't know what a swamp cooler is, for anyone that lives outside of the Southwest or in a place where there's land of humidity, essentially it's a cooler up on the top of your house that pulls air in, and there's a little wall of water or like wet pads that they push the air through the water pads down into your house to cool it. And it's a very cheap way to cool your house until monsoon season, because once monsoon season kicks in, it becomes ineffective because all the air is moist and it sucks.
Yeah. And frankly, 10 months is great. 2 months is awful. 2 months is enough for me to get air conditioning.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put that out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Swamp coolers are bogus, man. Totally bogus.
And there were a lot of times today where I sat there and thought, man, maybe I should just be renting it a whole lot easier. But you know what? It's the home ownership pride and whatnot. And I've been dealing with a lot of those home ownership things this week too. I live in an HOA in our town, and it's one of the only HOAs in our town, and they drive me batshit insane. Like I have not heard from them in a year and a half. The only time I ever hear from them is when they want to bill me for my monthly dues, or if they're having an election. When I first moved in, man, I would get a letter every week saying, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, what have you, fix it. Well, I got 3 in the mail yesterday when I checked my mail, and it was all over piddly shit too. One, I left my garbage can out too far to be seen, so I have to fix that.
Oh my God. Mm-hmm.
It's monsoon season, so everybody has weeds in their rocks, because the minute you pull them, it rains here, and 10 more sprout up. So you can't stay on top of it unless you're old or retired. Literally, you can go to work with a clean yard and come home with weeds sprouting. So I got a notice to clean my yard. I've been working on that too. And then to top it off, my address numbers blew away because of one of the monsoons. So I got knocked for not having a visible address, and that one about sent me through the roof.
So what is the recourse to the HOA if you don't do these things? Like what? Because I've never been part of an HOA, so I'm not sure how they work. I know my mom doesn't like them at all because of all this kind of crap. But like, what happens if you don't move your garbage can in?
I don't know. I can go in front of the board and tell them to fuck off. And what's worse is that this one's run out of Vegas, so they don't actually come down here. So they have some kind of spy that looks around. So it gets to be annoying as fuck, is what it is.
Are all the Heathers part of the same HOA, or does your Heather have a different HOA than the?
No, all 4 blocks have the same HOA. So we all get letters, we all get knocked for it. And what drives me crazy is, like, I have renters next door. Not all renters take care of their property, so theirs are covered in weeds. Like, we all have rock front yards, and these people look like they have grass yards because of all the fucking weeds. And I'm reading this letter last. I was like, you're yelling at me for this, and these guys over here literally have a jungle. So yeah, thanks for picking on me. Now you're just pissing me off. So maybe I'll find out what happens with the HOAs, just out of sheer boredom. You know, maybe they're poking me, so I'll poke them right back.
Oh, we're experiencing the same thing. We're looking for a house down here, and we find a house that is a beautiful house. It's a great house, but it's really expensive. Let's say, in the upper threes, lower 400,000s.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add on another $500 a month in HOA.
It's impossible.
And you realize there's no way we could buy a house in an HOA when the fees are so high. And like you said, what do they really do? I mean, you're in Vegas, so who's your enforcer?
And that's the thing is, like, I see the premise of it, and I see, like, in theory how it should work and why it should work. But now I'm seeing an execution that it is not working like they say it should. For a whole, picking on me for this because, I'm annoyed with it enough where I'll just start fighting back. I'll put stop payments on everything and watch them squirm and watch them come back to me.
Well, and that's the thing that I don't like about HOAs is you wonder, what am I getting for the money that you're paying me? What do I get out of this whole thing?
Exactly.
Everything looks like
everything's good.
Starting to cool down. Everything's
perfect,
all
man.
Look perfect. This is my card. If you want to go onto Facebook or Yelp or anything like that, leave me and Rusty a good review on there.
Oh, definitely.
We get points and stuff for that. So, other than that, any other questions before I take off?
No, man, we're good. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, anything crazy, give us a call.
Oh, I will. Yeah.
Everything's looking good as far as numbers going.
Perfect, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night.
You too. You want to mark that like it ended at 7:50?
No, I think that's part of the episode, man. That's
right.
Exactly what we're freaking talking about.
That's it, man.
Ownership, right
Home
there.
ownership. And now after we get off the podcast tonight, I'm gonna go leave Tucker a really good review because I'll be honest, man. This happened yesterday. I woke up yesterday morning, and we're recording on a Monday night right now. I woke up Sunday morning, and my house was hot.
Balls were melted into the sheets.
Balls were, yeah, dude, it was hot. And I keep my house freaking cold. Like, I sleep in 72-degree weather. And I was like, it was hot. So I went outside and checked the cooler. Like, everything looked fine. And I compared it to everything else because the neighbor's cooler is right next to mine. And I noticed mine had some whiteness around some of the couplings and realized it was frozen over.
Oh.
So I immediately checked the Google on what to do.
Yeah.
And as I checked the Google, it said this could be a problem. Either it's clogged or you have a Freon leak. So call somebody. And you can't call them on a Sunday, even though they say they want you to, because you get that weekend rate.
Yeah, the bend over, spread open, and say ah.
Yeah, so I do what everyone. I read all the columns on Google, and they all said just turn off the power to it, let it thaw out, turn the power back on, and see what happens. And it worked fine for last night. When I woke up this morning, it was frozen again. And hold on a second, we're back.
Sorry, man. Almost forgot one thing, the goodie bag.
Oh, perfect, man. Thank you. Boys, get in here. Get in here. Walt.
We're all going in.
Come on.
Hey, have a great night.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks. Welcome.
Man, so I have to give a quick shout out to Arizona Summers Cooling and Heating here in Kingman. They hooked us up, gave me a great price, and I got a nice goodie bag afterwards. So you're right, that is home ownership at its best.
Now,
but let me finish my story. I didn't want to do that.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
So this morning when I went out to work, I checked it again, and it was starting to freeze over. So I called him at 7:30 this morning. The guy met me at the house by 8:30. Went over my options, and by 11 they were here with the parts. And it is now 6 o'clock, and they have finished everything. They had to pull up my heater. Everything is inside my attic. And when my house was built, everything was installed backwards.
Wow.
So they had to pull out my heater, lower the platform that's on 6 inches, and run everything around. So these two guys have been in my attic since 11 a.m. fixing and replacing coils and whatever else. So I have to give them all the credit in the world, man. They were super nice about it, super cool about it. Joys of home ownership at a couple $1,000 price, but it's a peace of mind, you know.
Hey, you have to do it. I mean, there are certain things that you just can't not fix. Plumbing. You bust a pipe to your house, I don't care.
You got to call.
I don't want to call. I don't want to pay the money. Okay.
Yeah.
You just don't have an option, you don't have an option.
Yeah.
Air conditioning in Arizona, that's like a given. You can't,
Yeah.
Can't do it. I'm sure the same thing happens heaters in Chicago. You can't go without a heater. I mean, that's just part of the game.
Yeah, I had this happen in late September, early October. I probably could have waited a few months to save some extra cash to maybe get the full unit replaced because I'm not going to use my AC,
Yeah.
But we're in the middle of August right here, so
dude,
have to do what you have to do.
2 or 3 more months of heat, you wouldn't have been able to survive, dude.
Oh, no.
You would have been so miserable.
Oh, yeah. And, when the guys finally fixed everything here a few minutes ago, it was 90 degrees in my house. So I'm good. The money's worth it. And what the funny part is I've had a few of my insurance agent friends call me today and say, well, if you had our homeowner's insurance, we would have covered this. Like, no, because I called mine, and mine said I had to prove it was struck by lightning for any insurance to actually cover it. So it was like, I'm not like a full replacement maybe, but this is only replacing one piece. So I'm not quite sure it works like you want to tell me it is, so you can try to get my business.
Well, and I'm sure the insurance investigator would have gone after the spy for the HOA and asked if lightning really struck your house or not. So
yeah, absolutely, it would have been the right thing to do. Would have been the right thing to do. Yeah.
Well, let's get to a more positive because tell us a little bit about your new installation that you had at the house.
Oh yeah, the real one I wanted. Yeah, so our buddy on the show, Brian, works for one of our local breweries here in town. Good friend of the show, always has great ideas for us. Last Wednesday, I was sitting playing Madden on my Xbox, minding my own business, and he sends a picture of a kegerator at Goodwill.
Oh.
And yeah, I was like, oh, cool. It's like, how much is that? He goes, it's only $200. I said, I'll be right down.
$200, that's nothing.
Exactly. And this is before I knew my AC was going to go out. So I had money last week. So I wanted on.
Sorry. You had money last week. That's good.
So I wanted on down there, and Brian, being my boy, he's like bird dogging this kegerator. Like, he's sitting on it, he's plugging it in, he's checking it out because he works with this stuff. He's one of the sales rep guys, so he has to hook this stuff up all the time. So I get there, and he's like, man, this is clean. This is clean. Like this, you said you wanted one, and this is a great price because brand new they're about $450. This model I have.
Yeah.
So, for $200, it was clean, man. There was a little dent up front, but all the refrigerant stuff, all the electric on it was perfect. The only thing I had to do was get it cleaned out, which Brian was able to help me out with, and show me how to do, and go get the CO2 tank refilled. So. I went and I did that today while I was waiting for my AC unit to get fixed. I picked up a keg from one of our local quick beer shops. So I have beer on tap at my house right now.
What a successful way to round out the day is you have some cool air blowing in and you got some cold brew to drink.
Exactly. And the funny thing is I don't drink that much at home. So really it's one of these things where I drink to be social, and now I have put something in my house, and I prefer draft beer over canned or bottled beer. And I normally only drink Michelob Ultra or Coors Light when I go out, so now I have that on tap. I've really given myself no reason to go out now because I don't
I got to tell you, Scott, my dad was a man in his castle. He was a social guy, but he wanted to be at his house. He made his house comfortable for him. He had one big office area that had his TV and his videos. He liked all of his, everything. And, he just made that his comfort zone. And I think that's why a lot of people spend so much money on making their house the way they want it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, if they spend, like, I had one friend up there who spent like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do the electrical, one remote control runs all the lights and TVs and surround sound movie theaters. And I'm thinking, you spent like $15,000 to set that up. And he said, Jason, I'm here. If I'm not at work, I'm at home. I don't want to go out. I don't really want to spend money out. So I'm going to make my castle primo, dude. Primo.
Oh yeah. And I'm the same way. Like I have 2,400 square feet in my house. It's a good sized house, but I use my bedroom, my kitchen, and my living room. So the other half of the house is closed off. It's got like a bed in there for the extra bedroom and storage, but I make sure I like my couch. It's nice. My TV's good size. You've seen my kitchen. It's huge. So I like to have nice things in the kitchen. So that's what I do. I like to cook. I like to experiment in the kitchen. So I like to be able to spread out there, and that's worth the investment for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can
Okay.
I can never go back to a small kitchen.
No. That there are certain things that once you go that way, you never go back. Like you'll never go back. This is an opportunity, obviously, to go out, call it out to our listeners. Go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Liquid Kernedge. Tell us the one room in your house that makes your house the best castle for you. Maybe it's a movie room. Maybe it's the garage. A lot of people like to do the garage thing where they turn that into like a big man cave. Scott, obviously your kitchen is a big thing for you. Go to Instagram, go to Twitter, go to Facebook at Liquid. If you have some ideas for what Tom can do at his house, go to at Liquid_EP on Facebook and or on Twitter, and tell him your suggestions.
I would actually, when you hit up Tom at Liquid_EP, tell us the Star Trek GIF you want him to use this week too. With that, like, what Star Trek GIF best describes you and your man cave or your lady cave? I shouldn't say lady cave. That's a whole different meaning. I think it's
wow, lady cave. Oh, man, we just lost two listeners, buddy.
2 listeners, right?
Ooh.
They'll come back. They'll just text us in
we'll
rage.
gain 4 though. Maybe we'll gain 4.
2 steps backwards, 4 steps forwards. But yeah, it's been a busy week of just home ownership. Just general things going around. This is the coup de grace for the week, and I hope I'm done spending money on the house for right now because this is a significant amount of money I was not planning on spending on this. So
I got to tell you, we're in an apartment right now. Something goes wrong, something breaks, something's not working. Hey, can you guys fix it? Sure. They fix it for free. They just do it because it's their apartment. I got to admit, we have a rooftop bar or a rooftop like lounge area that we can sit out, have a glass of wine, watch the fireworks, whatever. We have a beautiful pool area. We got a game room. We got a workout room, all within 2-minute walk anywhere you want to go. There's something to be said about that, There's something to be said that having a pool where you can just sit out there, you don't have to worry about cleaning it. You don't have to worry about, doing all the maintenance on it. You don't have to worry about weeds. Apartment living's not too bad, man. It's not too bad.
Man, I'm right there with you.
Something nice about being where you don't have to worry about all those costs, except when you pay your house off. There would be something nice about when you don't have a house payment and you know that for the rest of your life, you will always have a home. You'll always have a place to stay.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. That would be nice. But, so many people get house poor. Remember back in the late 2000s where everyone was house poor because they buy a $600,000 home making interest-only payments of $2,200 a month, but they have no money. They're broke. They're absolutely broke. That's not a good feeling.
No, and so many people. That's how so many people lost their houses too when everything crashed, because they got so upside down so fast. You're able to buy, 3,000, 4,000 square foot houses in West Phoenix for $150,000, $200,000 after they got repossessed. They're practically brand new. They were gently used, and the people couldn't afford them, so they just sat empty for a couple years.
Yeah,
and that's what happened. Some people just. They overbought, and there's nothing wrong with that if you can afford to maintain it and you buy it properly. Like I can say with my house, I purchased mine at a price that was right for me. I was comfortable with the P&I payment, and it's more house than I need, but it also helps my resale value because if this new interchange comes through here in Kingman, it'll double my property value, no problem.
Yeah. Well, and
those are the adult things you have to look at when you're purchasing a home. What's the long-term value? What needs to be done with it? What can I do with it?
Well, and they sold that for a lot of years, the American dream. Everyone should own a house. Everyone should own a house. I kind of learned that no, not everyone should own a house. Some people should rent, save up their money, get to that large down payment if they can, or they should stay in the house for 30 years. Like, remember back in the days where you'd buy a house, you'd refinance it, you'd take out $50,000 in equity, then you'd sell it a year later, buy a bigger house, okay, now you're selling it or buying it and selling it like it's, I don't know, like a used car or something that you're just going to try to turn around for a quick buck on.
I think you got to be smart about it too. I worked with a guy way back when I was in banking, years and years ago. His name was Ed, and Ed was a loan officer for 30 years before I met him. So he was an older gentleman, probably in his mid-50s at the time. He had 2 daughters, one in grad school, one going to Baylor, and a wife that was just a stay-at-home wife. And he never owned a home. He rented for 30 years. And he came to Kingman and decided this is where they were going to retire. And Ed was a very meticulous numbers man. And he drove us nuts from that. But he poured over the plans for his house. He found the perfect lot he wanted to buy. And he paid cash essentially for a house he wanted built. Had it built. He was now living the American dream. 2 months later, he got laid off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. But his house was paid for, or did he still have a mortgage on it?
Oh, he still had a mortgage on it. He had enough for a decent down payment, so it wasn't bad. But
yeah.
It was brutal, man. I felt bad for him because he had very little personality. He was very milquetoast, and he was a very hard man to deal with. So getting a job was not easy. I think he ended up going back to San Diego where he came from originally.
Yeah.
But, man, he just toiled around here for years trying to find something and just never took off for him. Now, it just goes to show, you're right. Some people are better off just being able to just renting.
Yeah. Well, now my friend Pete, he bought a house in the most exclusive neighborhood in Denver. He bought it 10 years ago for like $350,000 10 years ago. 15 years ago, because he bought it in 2004. So 14 years ago. And he said, I go, how do you afford that payment? I mean, that's got to be crazy. He said, well, the way I look at it is in 30 years when I pay it off, this house will be worth $1 million. That's my retirement. I'll have $1 million home that I can either, sell it and move into a smaller place, or I can keep it, refine it. That's his lot. He said, I bought a house in the best neighborhood in Denver so that it would appreciate in value. Has it been difficult? Sometimes it has, but once you get used to that payment, you just realize what you're doing. That's his retirement plan, is that my house will be paid off and it'll be worth $1 million, and then I can do whatever I want. And I thought, if you can do it, I mean, like you said, you're trying to work it out so that if that interchange comes in, your house just doubles in value,
Yeah, then I can sell out too, and I could be gone.
Yeah.
Which would be nice.
Yeah.
But, you never know.
Well, and Noreen's at the point where she doesn't owe very much on her house. So if she were to sell it, she'd have a pretty sizable down payment on the next house. That being said, it's nice to get the rent every month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That extra income. It's a tough choice. Do we use the house and put as much as we can toward a new house, or do we keep the house and rent it like we're doing and then buy a house with a smaller down payment? But at least we keep the ownership of the house in Kingman. It's tough, man.
It's adulting's hard sometimes because it's what's the best financial move for you, and everyone's different. Not everyone has the same idea or goals for retirement, you're at that age, and I'm getting close to that age where you have to start having a serious plan for your getting out of the working world. Like, I'll say I'm about halfway done with my work life. Maybe another 20 years or so before I can retire if I'm lucky, maybe 30. But you have to have a plan in place so you have money to retire when you're done, and that's hard.
Well, it's a hard balance because you don't want to be so tight on money that you retire at 67. You have millions and millions of dollars, and you die at 68. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
you still have to live your life.
Yeah, but you also don't want to be at the point where you didn't save enough, and now you're pretty much done and out of it too. I mean, I think for the most part, you've got to find a way to care of your housing arrangements when you get older. Because if you have a house and you own it free and clear, then you're good. Like Noreen's parents. I mean, they own a house free and clear. Their retirement income is more than enough to cover any of their incidental bills. They're fine. But some of these people that retire and they have, $1,500 house payment.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like, wow. I mean, craziness. I don't know what the answer is there. But on the same side, at least they have a house. If I rent for the next 20 years of my life, I have nothing.
Yeah, that's true too. It's that balance. It's like you said, if you don't own it, my parents are like that. They paid off everything, so they're all free and clear with their debt. So they have money to play with. All they have to do is pay the property taxes in the houses that have property taxes, and that's fine with them. They're free to clear and travel. And if something tragic were to happen, they could put a mortgage on those houses and do whatever else because they worked all their lives knowing they're going to retire at some point, and they have planned for it. They have a financial advisor that set them up the way they needed to be set up, so they're fine. Yeah. That's the goal.
And some people choose not to be house poor.
Yeah.
Some people say, I know I can afford a bigger house, a nicer house, but I want this payment. And I don't care what that payment is. That's what I want. I don't know what, everyone has to do their own thing. My dad was a man as his castle kind of guy. So for him, he didn't buy fancy cars. He didn't buy clothes. He didn't travel. He put every dollar he did make into his house. That's what he did, So,
well, it's a priority thing too. We all have different priorities, and I don't care where I live for the most part, man. As long as I have my own space and my dogs can roam free, it's fine with me. I don't need this big of a house. This was a business investment more than anything else. And if I can stay here for another 3 or 4 years and cash out while things are on the uprise, that's good for me. If I'm here for another 15, 20 years, well, shit, that's all right with me too. I mean, life happens.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But
hey, I lived in 2004 Sebring Drive.
That's
Anywhere
right,
USA, baby.
That's right. We would find you all over town when you're living in your car. That was a fun fact. A lot of our listeners don't know is Jason spent some time living in his car.
2 months, man.
2 months,
almost
man.
2 full months. I was sleeping in my car, and I remember trying to find places where people wouldn't, the cops wouldn't come and say, "Hey, you got to move your car." You couldn't park in a Walmart parking lot back then because the cops frequented it so much. So I had to secretly find places to park the car while I was, trying to scrimp and save money so I could get an apartment.
Now, our listeners are probably getting mad right now. Saying, "Well, how come you guys didn't offer him a place to stay?" Everyone did. Jason's a very proud man too, and he wanted to do this on his own without a handout. So we give him more credit for the fact that he did this without our help. We would all give him a place to stay, no problem, no questions asked. But you have to respect a man and his journey.
There are some of those same people that probably could have gotten help from their parents to buy their first house and didn't because they wanted to do it on their own.
That's it. To each their own.
To each their own, baby.
To each their own.
To each their own. Well, I'm glad go ahead, buddy.
I was going to say, if you've purchased a house or are trying to buy a house, I mean, how big of a house do you own? Or are you a house payment person? Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Tell us your home buying experiences and how they've been, or why you choose to rent. I mean, everyone's got a different taste or a different flavor. So, man, we want to hear from you and why you're choosing to do what you do.
And where do we want to hear that from, Scott?
Our listeners.
Facebook. Where?
All at Liquid Kernedge.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
On Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's been a long day, man. Did I really forget that?
You know what I think has happened is the heat from the house has fried your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's funny, though, because I had to come home at 11 o'clock this morning to do everything. So not being able to leave the house, I got to play Madden online. So I got my ass kicked by some 12-year-old today on Madden. I felt pretty good about that.
Oh, no.
My remote control broke on my TV, so I had to order a new one of those. And just little things I've been putting off. I had nothing else better to do today, so I got a bunch of little things done today while waiting for my AC to be fixed. So all in all, it was a productive day.
Sounds like a win-win. Now you can go enjoy your cold air coming in and have a cold beer and relax the rest of the night.
Yeah, I think you're right. So next time you guys are in town, Jason, you and Lorraine, I'm inviting you over to my bar and grill for an evening of food and drink. Oh, and just camaraderie.
We've got a few things planned this weekend. I'm going to be going to Maine to visit my daughter.
Oh, I didn't say this weekend.
This weekend, oh, well then screw you. Then I'm done. No, you know what? No, your housewarming present's gone now, buddy. I'm selling it.
I've been here 2.5 years. If I haven't gotten it by now.
Hey, man, housewarmings can come anytime.
That's true. That's true. But no, next time you guys are up in the area, definitely come by and see all the adjustments that I've been making. I'm now in the market for an old style bar I can put in my living room and actually create a bar.
Yeah, that would be really badass, dude. I'll look for one too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be real cool.
All right, my friend. Well, I know you're going to Maine this weekend, so be safe with your travels.
I will.
We'll be back next week with another fun-filled activity episode
of Liquid Kernedge, which we love,
mm-hmm.
and we love talking to you guys.
So,
obviously, thank you so much for listening this week. We appreciate you. That was Scott. I am Jason, and as always, if you never know quite what to say, have yourself some Liquid Kernedge.